I'm going to sprinkle some pizza money on the 3 plays I took today in a 3-team teaser, which pays at almost 13 to 1, 1282. So that's a lot of pizza if it hits, Kev. Happy Thursday, guys. Welcome to Stoppage Time, found only here on Wager Talk TV. We are shifting focus to the EPL. 3 huge games this weekend. All of them are going on Sunday. Brighton, Liverpool, West Ham, Newcastle, Arsenal, and Man City. 3 big games and 3 good guys joining me to discuss these games. Nick Borman, Kevin Dolan, and of course, the one and only Pavlos Those boys. Let's bring it in. Kev, I'm going to reference a movie here before I go to you. I was feeling so good about Champions League until Wednesday came along. You ever seen that scene in The Godfather where he pulls up to the toll booth, and then these guys pop out and they just spray him with bullets? That was me yesterday in Champions League. I got sprayed with bullets and an 0-3 day. I hope your week's been going better. How you doing?
No, Carmine, actually, overall it has, but not yesterday. I ended up like poor Salazzo in the diner. I got wasted as well. McNulty, wasn't it, the cop? So, great run domestically. We're 9-1 in EPL, so I'm really, really happy with how EPL's going. But like you, had a 5% in Champions League last night. Had the under 2.5 in the Shakhtar Donetsk game, and it was looking good early, but the Antwerp just couldn't defend, so that was a loser. So obviously not nice to come on the day after a big loser like that. But like I said, domestically, which is what we're going to focus on today, it's been exceptional.
Well, you haven't been an ostrich all year long. I wouldn't expect you to be one today. You're always there. You're always hitting, and when you don't, you at least admit it. That's the great thing about transparency, Pavlos. And you're having a great year. How you doing?
Yeah, doing good. Actually, I had a pretty interesting Saturday. It was one of the few occasions where I had 9 plays on Saturday, went 8-1, including a 1.5%. I went 3-2 on Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I had very few plays. Went 2-1 on Tuesday in the Champions League. Yesterday, I only have a couple of props. I didn't like the card at all. Went 0-3 with props, but there were just 1 and 2 unit props. I think today's card is a bit better in the Europa and Europa Conference League, but this is a very important weekend. It's the weekend before the international break, so we have 3 actually great matches to discuss. And the EPL has been really exciting this season, and let's see how this weekend goes.
Let's have a great weekend. And just before we kick off with the first game, Nick Borman. Nick, my last round of golf yesterday, I shot 112. See, my idea is you pay so much, get as many shots in as you can, but that's not how you play golf. How you doing?
I've always asked that question. Why do we pay to hit as few shots as possible? Seems counterintuitive. But doing well. MLS, unfortunately, had a 0-1-1 night last night. We had 1 match postponed with Dallas. So hopefully we can get that one. I don't know if they rescheduled it yet. But anyway, Champions League only had 1 play on Wednesday. It was a loser. It was Newcastle PSG under. Newcastle impressed. So I know we'll talk more about them here in a second. But looking forward to this weekend. EPL slate I do like this weekend. So these games we're breaking down are definitely going to be good ones.
Right. I think our producer is going to get some version of the Breakfast Club, the way we sound today, in detention. But let's get going, guys. Game 1 on Sunday, Brighton and Liverpool. Brighton plus 201 at home. The draw is plus 295. Liverpool plus 116. Liverpool, of course, in action on Thursday in Europa League. Kev, I'm going to go to you first on this one. Listen, Liverpool's playing extremely well right now. Of course, off that game on the weekend in which VAR absolutely butchered that game. A communications error transmitted the wrong information, and a goal that was easily onside was ruled offside in that one. Diego Jota obviously out, Jones out as well too, both on red cards. I'm still going with Liverpool in this one. I just think that this is a team that is hungry off of that game that they want replayed last week, and they're playing extremely well right now. They seem to be able to score at will. There could be a lot of goals in this one, but I'm going to keep it simple. I'm taking Liverpool. I'm taking the plus 116, and let's see if they can get the win away at Brighton. And I'll go to you next.
I mean, this just looks straightforward to me, Carmine. Both teams are scoring over 2.5 goals. The both teams are scoring over 2.5 goals prop has cashed in every single one of Brighton's Premier League games this year. I mean, every single one. It also cashed in their opening Europa League game against the AEK Athens a couple of weeks ago. And it's nearly the exact same story for Liverpool. 6 of their 8 Premier League and Cup games have seen both teams to scoring over 2.5 goals, including 3 of their 4 on the road. So I just don't see how, given how both of these teams set up and coming off a short week, how we don't see a ton of goals in this one. For as front foot heavy as Brighton have been in games this year, I think teams, especially at the top of the table, they're starting to work out De Zerbi. They're starting to hit Brighton on the break. They gave up 6 goals against Villa last time out. They gave up, 3 against Athens, another 3 against West Ham. And there probably isn't a more raw, better attacking team in the Premier League, just from pure offensive talent on the roster than what Liverpool have. So, yes, you're laying a very high price here. It's not too often to give out this. I think it's minus 201 right now. But I'll probably still sprinkle a little bit on my card with this one, 2% play or whatever, because I just don't see how it doesn't cash almost. So both teams scored over 2.5. I mean, it just keeps hitting with either of these two teams, and when they're going to play against each other, I just can't see how this game stays under. So, that's my selection on this one.
I like it. And Kev, I don't mind laying that vig on a prop that looks so good, and that's why it's priced the way it is, that it should hit. Nick, he makes a good point. We see a lot of goals, and you also got Joel Matip, who when you got him on the field, he won't be on the field or scoring own goals to cash that prop last week. It just makes it that much easier. Give me your thoughts on this game. Does Liverpool rebound off that tough luck loss against Spurs last week, where they played 2 men short for a good part of that second half?
I don't know about the side, Carm. I mean, I would think Liverpool should win, but what the issue I have, and a reason I agree with what Kevin's saying is, I still don't trust their defense. We know last year their big struggle was defense. They were still good offensively, but to finish in that Europa spot was because of their defense. They allowed 1.48 expected goals per match last year, and when they were the winners of the EPL, they were under 1. They were like 0.8 something last year. City, the champions, were 0.89. So you can see quite a big gap there between the true top of that table and the team that's, I think, still Liverpool. Obviously good, but I think they're kind of over their heads here as far as really contending for this title, unless they start to improve defensively. This year, they were 1.48 last year. This year, they're 1.4. So it really hasn't improved. Yeah, they've gotten some results. Their offense has been good. It was good last year. But I don't see the change yet defensively. So I am worried. They're conceding a lot of good quality shots. Kevin mentioned they are conceding all matches but one. Ironically, the one they didn't, I think it was Aston Villa 3-0, was both teams to score, or a Liverpool and both teams to score for me. And of course, that one didn't come through. But I digress. Brighton, Kevin mentioned they've gone perfect to both teams to score over all season long. I'll add that they're a perfect 8-0 to their lined totals this year, which 7 of their 8 totals that have been set in the Premier League have been at least at 3 goals. So you're talking about every match getting over that total of 3. So this is one set at 3.5 for a good reason. I'll keep it simple and just go over 3.5 because I totally agree with what Kevin's saying. All the data backs it up. I don't trust the defenses. I see some goals here, and I'm fine going over 3.5.
Right, Nick Borman, Wager Talk. Pavlos, I'm going to give you the final word on this one. And Nick talks about those line totals and going over. Liverpool, 6 of their last 8 games, they've scored at least 3 goals. Give me your thoughts on this one. Any props, any team totals possibly?
I'm definitely going to throw some money on the, actually, it's not throwing, it's investing money on the 3-1 correct score for Liverpool, plus 1,200 right now at DraftKings. However, that's not my play, but I do see this. Liverpool are always rotating around that 3-1 correct score. They had 3, 4, 5 wins so far with this score, and Brighton will concede a lot of goals here. There's several reasons. I'm taking Liverpool money line here, plus 116. There's several reasons why I love this play. It's still not in my card, but it's probably gonna make it like a 2-3% or something. I love them in this spot. There's several reasons why. Main reason is because of the major blunder the referees and the VAR did in the previous match against Tottenham. If you ask me, Diogo Jota's yellow was actually a second yellow because he kind of hit that defender's leg just a little bit. But the Diaz goal was onside, and it was a major blunder by the VAR to not count it. So whenever you see a big team being unfavored by the not intentionally, I don't think it was intentional. I just think they made a huge mistake in that VAR. But whenever you see one of the big teams getting unfavored, in such a big match, you have to take them in the next match because, with the smallest sliver of a foul inside the penalty area, they're going to give a penalty to Liverpool. I think they're going to have the favor of the referees just to kind of make amends to what happened to them last week. And big news from Brighton, one of their star players, Pavlos Piñar. He's the Ecuadorian left back. He makes all these big runs down the left flank. He links up perfectly with Mitoma and quite a few others. He's going to miss about at least 1 month of play, and they do have some players that can, substitute him. It's probably going to be Lamptey, who is just as good, but he hasn't played really good in the past couple of seasons. So, in my opinion, that leaves a kind of a big gap, and it hurts both their defensive capabilities, but also their offensive capabilities. So, I think Liverpool win this one way or the other. So, give me Liverpool money line plus 116.
Right, Pavlos Zagratos with the final word on the first game on today's card, Brighton and which goes on Sunday, of course, Brighton and Liverpool. And if you're wondering and you're unfamiliar with what happened in that VAR, the goal was onside, but VAR, or the people working VAR, the assistants, thought that the original call was that came to VAR was that the goal was good instead of offside. So they came back with the call is confirmed. They were confirming that the goal was good. And in essence, they actually were confirming that the goal was no good because the original call was offside on the field. So it wasn't the system, but more so the officials. And neither one will be working this weekend because of what happened last weekend. All right, let's head over to the second game on the card. This one also goes on Sunday. West Ham and Newcastle. West Ham plus 224. The draws plus 269. Newcastle plus 114. Kev, I'm going to go to you. I'm going to keep this simple again. I am going with another short priced plus money favorite here in Newcastle. I didn't expect them to do what they did to a PSG yesterday in Champions League, or on Wednesday in Champions League, easily winning that one wire to wire in that game. And this is a team that is starting to string some wins together, starting to play extremely well. It's just one where I've got to go with the team that is in form, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm taking Newcastle as they continue to move up the standings in the Premier League. Give me plus 114 Newcastle, and I'll send it to you.
Very similar handicap to the previous game for me, Carmine. As you said, we saw Newcastle, absolutely shred that PSG backline for 4 goals. The manner in which that result came about, was a bit of a shock. I don't think many people expected that scoreline, but it's always kind of been in the post for this Newcastle side, given their data. They put 5 goals past Aston Villa in the opening game of the season. They put 8 goals past Sheffield United, obviously, just a couple of weeks ago as well. They ranked number 1 in offensive XG this season in the Premier League, so I don't see them being denied in front of goals here against West Ham. They scored 5 goals on their last visit here to London back in April. And by the same token, West Ham are no slouches in front of goal either. The Hammers have scored in every single game this season. League, Cup, Europe, doesn't matter what competition. And they're actually the only team to rank alongside Brighton and Newcastle this year to have a positive goals expectancy, I believe, from a negative shot return, meaning, they're one of only 3 teams this year to return more goals than their season shot count, if you know what I mean. So, like I said, I'm going to keep it simple here again. it just looks goals to me. And, the both teams to score prop, I think it's around minus 170, minus 175 right now. So again, it's juicy. But as you said at the start, it's juicy for a reason, because both teams to score has cashed in all of these two teams' last 5 head-to-heads. And the way both teams have started this season as well, it's highly unlikely to me we see anything different in this one. Could be another good shot for Pavlos' 3-1 scoreline here as well. So, yeah, both teams to score for me again here.
All right, I love it. Nick, I'm going to go to you next on this one. And listen, it was a rough start for Newcastle out of the gate in the Premier League, but losing 3 of their first 4 games. But you had to look at the competition in which they were playing. A trip to Man City, then they had Liverpool, and then after that they get Brighton. But since then, they seem to be rolling along. 5 wins, 1 draw. The 1 draw, they win away in a match they won a Champions League. They went to AC Milan and played the perfect road game, came away with a point in a scoreless draw. This is a team that is just getting better and better each weekend. How can you not take them this weekend? Give me your thoughts.
Yes, they are. And I'll first say that I am a believer in Newcastle. I'm very high on this team. They ended last year in a position that they deserved. Their metrics were very, very good. They deserved that top 4 finish. However, I do not like them at all in this spot. I think this is very, very tough for them. You mentioned how big that win against PSG was. Yes, they were great. Yes, it's a huge – listen, Newcastle is not a team that's been playing in the Champions League very much. So that is a huge emotional letdown possibility for this spot. And I'm just very, very scared to lay anything on Newcastle. Do I believe they're the better team? Yes. Do I believe they win this game more often than not? Yes. I just don't like it this weekend. It's that simple. I don't trust that they can go in there on the road here at West Ham. Everybody was down on West Ham this year, right? Nobody really expected them to do what they've been doing, and they've been playing very, very well. They only have the 2 losses, City and Liverpool, but they do have a couple solid wins over Chelsea, who we joke about, but actually their behind-the-scene numbers are better than what their record is. And Brighton, they beat Brighton. So West Ham can get a result here at home. You mentioned the road schedule. Newcastle, or I guess the schedule in general that Newcastle has had. Clearly, schedule makers did not want them to get off to a good start this year, but the road matches they played at City, at Brighton, at AC Milan, all very tough. They did just score 1 goal in those 3. Didn't win any of them, of course, and then they had the 8-0 ridiculous Sheffield win. But again, it all comes down to this is asking a lot right now. There's a lot of excitement and emotion after that PSG win, so I just don't trust it. I would recommend actually taking the Hammers plus a quarter of a goal right now. This maybe people will throw some more money on it, and this gets to a double chance on the West Ham, and that's even better. But right now as it stands, I like Hammers getting the head start.
With the head start, Pavlos, you get a chance to hammer out the final opinion on this one. Does it worry you at all that West Ham are in action today on Thursday in Europa League? So 1 fewer day of obviously of practice and preparation for this game.
Yeah, that's always something to look at. You have to always look at if teams have 1 fewer day of rest and if they have to travel. West Ham right now, they're playing today at Germany, so they're going to have to travel back. Usually we tend to fade these teams on the weekend, but this is a very strange matchup, and I got to be honest here. I couldn't pick a side. I couldn't pick a total. It's a very strange match for me. Usually matches between the 2 sides historically have both teams to score. Newcastle, they dropped 4 on PSG the other day, 8 on Sheffield United. So you know that if you give them just a little bit of of breathing space, they can really destroy you. But what really caught my eye is the statistics in how they perform in second halves and how they perform in first halves. So Newcastle, they have scored and conceded 10 goals in first halves, conceded 3, scored 7, and 15 goals in second halves, scored 11 and conceded 4. So there's 5 more goals in the second halves of Newcastle's matches. Now West Ham, pretty similar, 9 goals in first halves, 14 goals in second half. West Ham, 6 of their 9 matches in all competitions had more goals in the second half. 2 of them had equal amount of goals, and just 1 match out of 9 had more goals in the first half. And if you look at Newcastle's numbers, again, they played 10 matches in all competitions so far in the season. 6 of 10 matches had more goals in the second half. 3 of them had equal amount of goals in the 2 halves, and just 1 match had more goals in the first half. So we can even hit this prop even if either team wins by 1-0, but that goal needs to be scored in the second half. So I like highest scoring half, the second half at minus 115, I believe.
All right, Pavlos Zagretos of wagertalk.com. And if you want to get 30 days of Pavlos's soccer plays, or Nick's, or Kevin's, or mine, use coupon code STOP50, and that'll give you $50 off of that $199 price. A 30-day soccer all-access package, all plays, props, futures, 5% plays in soccer for only $149 instead of $199 with coupon code STOP50. All right, guys, we're heading into the final game of the weekend and the marquee game of the weekend. It is Arsenal and Man City. Arsenal plus 199, 242 on the draw, and Man City plus 139. Kev, listen, I've gone with the short price favorites. I'm reversing roles here. I'm taking Arsenal. This team is playing extremely well. They're playing well at home. It's always a tough thing to try and fade Man City. I just don't think they're playing at full speed right now. And I get it. Kevin De Bruyne out this season with that injury. I just don't see how this team is playing the way they should be playing. That game at Leipzig sort of highlighted that one. Even though they won 3-1, they pulled away late in that one. Now they travel to the Emirates. So this is a very good Arsenal team, and I'm just thinking that if the City are going to drop a game, this is the spot where they're going to drop it. I'm taking Arsenal here, plus 199. Maybe Gabriel Jesus comes back to haunt his former team, or Zinchenko. We will see what happens, but I'm taking Arsenal plus 199, and I'm going to throw in one more. I'm going to sprinkle some pizza money on the three plays I took today: Newcastle, Liverpool, and Arsenal. In a three-team teaser, which pays at almost 13-1, 12.82. So that's a lot of pizza if it hits, Kev. Give me your thoughts.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, I'm going to also change it up for this one, Carmine. I don't want to be known as the Del Monte man if I keep giving out those big juicy plays. So I'll go with a big plus money prop on this one. I talked about this on last week's Champions League show that we did. That people were talking about perceived value on Leipzig or whatever. Ahead of last night's game. But, I said in last week's show, I said, whenever City, for as much problems as they have, and Rodri is out and De Bruyne's out and so on, whenever they're at a backable price just to win straight up, like whether I back it or not, it's always on the short list for me. I'm always going to be interested in that. So I gave out City on that show last week, and I'm quite happy to come back and take a piece of them in this one as well, although I'll try and get a bit more greedy here. Saka likely out for this one. Latest reports are, and that's just a massive blow for Arsenal for me. He leads the goals charts for them this year. He leads the assist charts for them as well. And look, if he does end up being out, arguably to have your best player of the lineup ahead of this one, the biggest game of the season, that's going to be massive for Arsenal. So, I was looking at City initially. I was looking then at, potentially without Saka, how do Arsenal go with breaking open the City defence? I don't see it. So the City to win to nil prop came into play. And then I was looking at, okay, City to win to nil, but how many do I imagine City score at the other end? To me, you mentioned this just isn't the City of old, not just in terms of how they're performing, but they've almost changed their style now to almost like Italian-esque in the way they go about their business. They take an early lead, then they look to just choke out the game. The 5-6-0s of the past, they're pretty rare now. And I think that's exactly what we're going to get from them in this one as well. This is an absolutely massive game for both teams at the top of the table. Other teams, who are around them as well involved in this race, they'll be keeping all their eyes on this one as well. No one wants to see City start to build a lead here at the top of the table. So I do expect both teams to be fairly cautious in this one. And I just see it pretty much going the same way as the Newcastle game earlier in the season. I think without Saka, Arsenal are going to find it very hard, just like Newcastle did, to create clear-cut scoring chances. I mean, we just talked about how potent Newcastle are in attack. City just stranglehold them throughout the game. Newcastle really didn't have much threat in that game up top. And at the other end, you've got a combination of Manchester City's, more patient attack over the last season or so, combined with the fact that Arsenal, themselves are a really solid defensive unit. Only City have allowed fewer goals and fewer shots in the league this season than Arsenal have. So, the gap between City to win to nil and City to win by exactly 1-0 is absolutely massive odds-wise. So, I'm getting more than compensated here for the risk that it ends. It could end 2-0 possibly, or a different scoreline. I think 3-0 is extremely unlikely. So I don't see this being a barn burner. I think, like I said, both teams are going to be incredibly cautious. And at 9-1 plus 900, I think that's a big, big price here on City to squeeze out a win in London this weekend, 1-0.
That is a massive price, Kevin. Listen, I get it. I'm kind of surprised by the fact that Arteta. I get it. It's Champions League, an away game at Lens, but it's that's a team that struggled in League One this season. I'm surprised that Saka even started that game. Of course, he goes down with a muscular problem 30 minutes in and has to come off. So we'll see whether he's fully recovered or not for this team. He definitely won't be playing, and I can't see him playing for England in their next two games. The international break, of course, coming right up. So we'll see whether he plays this weekend or not. But if he doesn't, I'm perfectly fine with Gabriel Jesus up front. Nick, give me your thoughts on this game.
So I feel like Kevin and I are taking the same approach in this match. My bet is a lot different, but I feel this is very well lined. I don't value in just the standard line or standard side or total. I think it's going to be a tight match. I think it's going to be, a lot of things could happen that wouldn't surprise me. So if I'm going to get involved, I'm going to do a little pizza money and try to get a big return. So Kevin went with City to win to 0. I'm going to go City to win and both teams to score. So a lot different as far as what might happen as far as actual goals, but still the same return or a big return. You can get over 3-1 on this combination. I say, last week I suggested the exact same bet in City's Champions League win over Leipzig. Obviously that came through. It was a great rebound spot for them with that surprising loss to Wolves, but that's what City has sometimes done the last couple of seasons is poor teams, bad spots, perhaps lack of focus. Those seems to be the games that they lose. You rarely see them lose in the big matchups against the big teams. Obviously the Champions League, they went on to win. You look at the results against Arsenal and other top 4 teams last year, they win those. They beat the Gunners 4-1 and 3-1 last year. There's just seems to be another that City can take when they're playing these teams. And then, listen, it's human nature. You play a crap team, you kind of lay off the pedal, and you're not really focused. But they seem to be focused in these type of matches. So that's why I think City's going to have the quality to win this match. The Gunners coming off a surprising Champions League loss, to Lens, and I think this could be bad, right? If they lose this match, what are we talking about? 8 games into the season after this, right? If they lose this match, it's over. They have no chance. I'm saying it right now. They have no chance at winning the Premier League title. It's just going to put them in a bad spot with their heads. We make fun of the Gunners all the time, and Arsenal eventually is going to be Arsenal. They collapsed at the end of last season, or maybe they didn't collapse as much as we expect Arsenal to collapse, but they didn't continue the same gear that they have been playing, and City showed how much better they are over the course of the season. Point being, I think it's a lot of pressure on Arsenal in this match, way more than there is on City, and I think that's going to free City up, and maybe Arsenal do find a way to get on the board, but I do think City win this game, and I'll pair it with both teams to score, +3 over 300.
All right, Nick Borman with his thoughts on Arsenal and Man City. Pavlos, listen, I get it. I get where the guys are coming from. Sometimes I look at a line, and I've been doing this for so long that you see a price like +139 on City, and you're like, this is a fantastic price. I got to get it. And sometimes the books want you or hang a line that looks so attractive that it turns out to be a trap in the end. But then you look at it, and these two teams did play in the Community Shield, but with Arsenal winning in, I believe it was penalty kicks at the beginning of the season. And you have to go back to 2015 to find the last time Arsenal won a Premier League game against Man City. That's about the time that your first gray hair appeared on your beard 8 years ago. Can they get another win?
Yes, I was very tempted by picking Arsenal moneyline because, I'd rather pick Arsenal moneyline and lose than pick City moneyline and lose. This game has a lot of draw in it. If I had to pick a side to win this game, I'd definitely go Arsenal because, there's something wrong, just slightly wrong with City. This season, of course, the absence of Kevin De Bruyne is he can't really be substituted by any player in the world. He's just the best midfielder in the world, and without him, we see them struggling. They lost to Newcastle in the EFL Cup. They lost to Wolves over the weekend. They were really close to a draw against Leipzig, to be honest. Only the introduction of Alvarez and Doku, who, by the way, one assisted and the other one scored in both, those late goals. I didn't trust Manchester City in this spot. Yes, can they win? Yes. The plus, 137 or something for their main line is pretty decent. But, Arsenal, they have a couple of problems right now. And, Martinelli's out. Martinelli's out. Can you still hear me? Okay. Martinelli's out and Saka is out. So they don't really have the players to replace them. It's probably going to be Rice Nelson. Yes, Trossard will definitely shift into the starting lineup, but they're probably going to have to use Havertz in one of the three top positions because, Arteta has been religiously playing the 4-3-3 formation since he came to Arsenal, or especially in the last couple of seasons. He's only used a different formation once, so he's religiously stuck on playing the 4-3-3 formation. And here's the problem: both of his wingers are injured. So one of them is going to be Trossard, and the other one, I'm not sure. Maybe he pushes Havertz to a more offensive role. I don't really know who's going to play there, but with the numbers that I'm seeing here and the way that Manchester City seem to be struggling right now, I think Arsenal will be very smart, especially in that first half. They don't want to go down a goal because Manchester City can easily lock up shop and win by 1-0, as Kevin said. So I think Arsenal are not losing that first half. They've been really good in first half so far in the season. Manchester City, I think they've only won once on the road in first halves. So I think Arsenal, worst case scenario, first half is a draw. So I'm going to take Arsenal pick'em in the first half, even money, plus 100. And again, there is a good chance of a draw in the first half, so that bet is a push. But if it goes anywhere else, I think it's probably going to go Arsenal's way. So give me first half, Arsenal pick'em, plus 100.
All right, there you have it, guys. 3 big games all on Sunday. Kev, let's go to you right away and find out what you have up at Wager Talk, and we'll have a look at your leans on today's show.
Yeah, EPL players will be loaded later. We already have a college football triple pack loaded up right now for the weekend. Slate Carmine, number 3 all-time in college football, number 2 on totals as well. I absolutely love this weekend's card. It's my favourite card so far of the season. 8 plays loaded up across Saturday's slate for all access clients. And speaking of which, use code DOLAN7, DOLAN7, to knock $20 off a 7-day all access pass, all sports. Through this week, that gets you everything I release to the next 7 days. EPL, Euro Soccer, NFL, college football, boxing. Ton of boxing on this weekend. And rugby, red hot start to the Rugby World Cup as well. We're hitting 72.7% across the entire tournament so far. I love that. So, great time to jump on board.
All right. Take advantage of that code, guys, and get 7 days of plays. It's a great deal. Nick, what do you have up at Wager Talk? And we'll have a look at your leans.
Yeah, Carm, right now my energy is going into MLS. We got 3 match days left here for the regular season. So I'll crunch the data for Wednesday night games and get ready for Saturday. I'm probably going to be very, very light on the European card. So many teams coming off midweek's Champions Europa League and then the international break next week. So I don't know. It's just kind of a little weird this weekend. So expect MLS plays up on a Thursday night and maybe 1 or 2 plays in domestic league action, but I haven't really narrowed anything down yet. So it'll probably be late for me, but I'm looking forward to MLS this weekend.
All right, and best of luck to you. Pavlos, right to you now. What's up at Wager Talk? And let's have a look at your leans.
I do have a best bet in the Bundesliga loaded for Friday. I'm actually number 1 in the Bundesliga this season, 14-3. It's been going really well with this Bundesliga plays. I do have another one, best bet in the Bundesliga on the weekend, and also best bets in the EPL, the French League 1 and the MLS. And I also do have a 5-pack for Thursday's action in the Europa and Europa Conference League. And I should say that I'm profit leader all sports year to date and number 1 in soccer last 365. So it's been going really well with this soccer plays. I only do one sport alone.
All right, best of luck to you. Myself, guys, if you head over to Wager Talk, college card, EPL card for the weekend. NFL, of course, as well, too, and a 5% play in the NFL. Grab those over at Wager Talk, grab the 3-day all access, and you can get a ton of plays. And don't forget, you can use Stop 50. Stop 50 is going to get you $50 off a 30-day soccer all access package. Drop it from $199 down to $149. Guys, we're going to be back after the international break because there's only a couple MLS games next weekend. So we will see you in a couple weeks where we'll look at some Champions League stuff as well, too. For myself, Kevin Dolan, Nick Borman, and Pavlos, this is Stoppage Time. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.